こんにちは、宇都宮光子です。今日はカリフォルニア州トーレスで航空ショーが行われた時のゼロファイター、それから飛行機乗りの身内が取材された時の動画を紹介させてもらいます。
Welcome to the Western Museum of Flight. I'm Museum Director Cindy Maka. We have a new way of presenting our exhibits and our artifacts, and they will be available to all.
The World War II fighter that I currently fly. I'm hoping to get into some of the other airplanes we have at the museum here shortly. But what I understand as far as turning and climbing this airplane still from the beginning all the way through the end of the war was very tough for our aircraft to beat. In the early parts of the war, we didn't know that quite yet. We were learning how to fight this airplane, and if we turned with it, that was bad news. So we learned not to turn with the airplane just because it has such great turning performance. It is not as fast as the other airplanes, especially as our airplanes progressed through the war and we went to a more powerful aircraft that could go faster. Then those aircraft could outrun this airplane. But all the way through the end of the war, our pilots did not want to turn with this airplane because that was bad news for us.
How many zeros are...
To our knowledge, there are currently 5 Zeros that are still flying in the world today, and a couple we know of that are going through restoration, and hopefully will be flying around the country and the world in the next year or two. The aircraft behind us was manufactured by Mitsubishi, came off the plant in '42. The combat records are not complete. They were kind of taken care of after the war as part of the surrender terms. But we know it was found at an abandoned airport or airfield, Japanese airfield in the New Guinea, in that area right there, and it was brought back to the United States in the early 90s with a couple other airplanes that were found abandoned in the jungles. Initially, some work was done at Santa Monica. Then the airplanes were sent over to Russia for restoration. They came back without engines. That was the direction of the owner at the time. So everything else was done in Russia. There are some instruments in the airplane that have Cyrillic written on it, so that's pretty interesting. After he came back to the States about in the mid-90s, our airplane went to Chino, to the fighter rebuilders there, and they put the engine on and did all the other things necessary to include the paperwork with the FAA to get it cleared to fly in the United States. And then it's been with us at the Camarillo Commemorative Air Force Unit ever since.
How did Allied fighters learn how to successfully fight the Zero?
As I mentioned earlier, what we didn't know at the start was how well this airplane could turn. So we would turn against it, and that didn't end up very well for us many times. So what we learned how to do was to keep our speed up, to not turn with them. We developed excellent tactics. That was primarily the Navy folks who were flying F-4F Wildcats at the time. So we developed really innovative and good 2-ship and 4-ship tactics to help deal with the airplane. And we learned to do hit and run type attacks to keep our airspeed up. Until we got into our later, more powerful aircraft, we did not go vertical with the airplane. So if the Zero pilot wanted to take the fight up into the vertical in our earlier airplanes, that was tough for us to keep up with it because it could climb so well. So we learned not to do that. Keep our speed up, dashing attacks, hit and run. This aircraft did not accelerate very well going downhill, where our heavier armored aircraft would. So we would run away from it, do a hit and run type attack, throwing some bullets out there to try and take care of it, and then run away and descend down to low altitudes, and we could run away from it.
What is the crowd response as you fly this zero into air shows?
That's another part of why I feel so honored to fly this airplane, not only to fly it and feel the nostalgia and the history of sitting in this cockpit and actually flying the airplane, especially if I'm in formation with some other World War II aircraft, but it's also the reaction I see from the crowd when I take it to an air show or to any kind of event where the general public gets to come out, maybe people who don't visit air shows much. But it's just an overwhelming response. It's true love for the airplanes, and I really feel a sense of gratitude from the people for us being able to keep it in the air and share this design, a little bit about the performance, a little bit about the restoration, and also a little bit about the particulars of the airplane and how it was able to do what it did so well.